Pricing is definitely one of those tricky, uncomfortable subjects for many people when we're first starting out in business. And it's definitely the question that I get asked, kind of one of the first questions. What about pricing? How am I going to price my offers? What offers shall I put out there? And I generally will start with, if it's a brand new coach, brand new expert, brand new online business, I will generally say that let's go high ticket and one-to-one. The reason for that is because one-to-one is generally easier to sell. People think they want that one-to-one experience. So generally it's an easier sell. And two, if this is a brand new business, we need revenue in. We need that revenue so that we can invest it back into our business, keep growing, pay any, team members that we might have, pay our own rent or our mortgage or whatever it is. So we need to bring that revenue into our business. And there is a bit of a fallacy that it's easier to sell things at a lower price than higher price, but that is just not the case. We have to put exactly the same amount of effort into selling something for £5 or £500 or £5,000. We have to put the same amount of effort in. But if people believe in your offer, if they want what you have, it's not going to be easier to sell just because it's cheaper. That's not the way it works. But before we get into the actual mechanics of exact pricing, what I want to talk to you about first, the first step is more to do with packaging around your offer, structuring your offer, and what does kind of that high ticket offer look like for breath workers or other people in the wellness industry. So let's talk about the difference between a service and an offer. So I offer breathwork sessions. That is your service. That's describing what you do. That's your modality. That is what you do. But an offer, the perfect kind of framework for your offer, has an outcome and a time frame and the person who it's for. So it's the whole package: the outcome, the transformation, the time frame, the experience, and the value. So rather than I offer breathwork sessions, it's I help busy professionals reduce anxiety and sleep deeply again in 6 weeks. Now, I know this kind of 6 weeks, this time frame might be sitting a little bit uncomfortably for some of you, and I will explain a little bit more about why that 6 weeks is in there. And of course, if you're thinking about breathwork, it's like we can't promise something. We don't know what they're like when we until we really start working with them. How can we promise that somebody is going to sleep deeply again in 6 weeks? This is the overall kind of statement and package for our offer. When we then speak to somebody, we would then gauge kind of where they're at, what's going on. You might have to say, like, depending on how we get started, potentially it might take 8 weeks, it could take 4 weeks, whatever it is. But the specificity about who you're helping and what the outcome is really, really important in packaging up your offer. So let's look at that in a bit more detail. So building your offer in one sentence: I help. Who do you help? We'll go along with the other examples that we've been using in this video series so far. So I help stressed professionals, new mums, corporate teams. What are you going to help them achieve? Sleeping deeply, feeling calmer, being more present, better performance. What's the time frame? So it's not even necessarily the time frame in which you can achieve that result. It's the time frame of your offer. So maybe you're running like a one-to-one program. You work with somebody for 90 days. And that is the outcome that you're aiming for. So it's not a promise, it's not a guarantee. You are going to be doing certain work together to try and achieve that the outcome. And the time frame is the time frame of the offer, the time that you work together. Now, the objection: without medication, without going offline, without having to use expensive therapy. And I'll explain why we have those objections in a moment. But in a breathwork example, so I help stressed professionals reduce anxiety and sleep deeply again in 6 weeks without medication or expensive therapy using breathwork. So then you're wrapping it around with breathwork. So you can see how we've talked a little bit about kind of messaging and all those kind of things. Now we're using that messaging and we are building that and baking that into our offer. So you can see, as somebody who would read this, how they would emotionally connect with this, how that is something that they would want, and how it would give them that kind of confidence of what they're going to be kind of achieving with you, what the experience would be like. So why do the time frame and the without matter? So the time frame is really there to add confidence. If you just say we're going to be doing this for, well, we're going to, to do it for as long as needed in terms of, it might take 3 months worth of sessions, whatever it is, you're not kind of giving confidence about what that is. But if you can say, generally, I work with kind of people for 6 weeks. This is a 6-week program. We'll be aiming to do this. And generally, the clients that I've worked with kind of definitely feel like, and this is where you have your kind of, you always want to get feedback from your sessions. You can say, generally, this is what people have said after the 6 weeks of working with me. Some people are, sleeping better after the first session, whatever it might be. But that giving that time frame really helps to give confidence. The without is about overcoming any main objections before it's even raised within their head. Without medication signals that they don't have to change everything. So it's just taking away anything. It'd be the first objection. So your objection is always going to be like the first thing, the big one that somebody will go, oh, but what about this? So that just really helps. When you have that time frame and the objection handling in your offer, baked into your offer, it gives confidence to your offer, and it makes it feel achievable. It makes it feel safe. It makes it feel clear, and it will help people to say yes. People definitely don't buy something if they feel uncertain about it. They need to feel confidence. So urgency and scarcity, we've touched a little bit about this on previous videos within this series. And this comes down to a little bit about what we talk about, authenticity and trust. Now, typically, you will have seen, or maybe you've been part of, or, in a funnel or on a sales page or looking at something, and it's like, buy now, and there's countdown clocks, you got to buy within the next, 7 minutes, otherwise this offer is going to be taken away, and all those kind of things. And of course, that is definitely not what we're talking about here. We don't want any of those things. However, urgency and scarcity will really help people to say yes to your offer when it is done in an authentic way. If it's not, people smell a rat a mile off. But it can be done in an authentic way, because just generally as humans, we need a reason to say yes. We will procrastinate, till the cows come home if we're given a chance. So many people, they'll see something, they'll read something, they'll look at one of your posts, they'll look at, something that you've sent them or a sales page or whatever it might be, and think, yeah, that looks great. God, yeah, I'm really having difficulty sleeping lately. I'd love to do that, or whatever it might be. I'm just really busy today, so I'll look at that tomorrow. I'll think about that next week, or maybe I'll have a look at the weekend when I've got more time. It always, that will always come up for them, but of course they never do. So adding deadlines, so your urgency, and adding scarcity, i.e., I'm running a workshop for 10 people and I've only got 3 places left, that really, really does work. As long as it's genuine. Let's not do anything, that feels fake, but as long as it's genuine, baking those kind of bits into your offer really, really help people to take action and say yes. Okay, so what does this look like in practice to you? How, as a breath worker, can you start kind of packaging up what you do to maybe bring in a little bit more money to increase the revenue? Because, when you're first starting out, typically a breathwork session, a 2-hour breathwork session or something, is about £150, typically, generally. So you could get very busy doing lots of one-to-one in person at £150, but you're going to reach a cap. And there's only so many breathwork sessions you could do in a day. Say if you did 3, which is quite a lot, one-to-one breathwork sessions, 5 days a week or something, you're going to be maxed out and pretty exhausted by the end of that. So we want to ideally bring in some packages that help you to be able to serve more people or reach more people kind of at the same time. And all of these things can be done both online and offline. So let's have a look. So 6-week calm program, weekly sessions plus a guided audio for home practice. 6-week sessions, but you're not selling this sessions, you're selling a transformation. It's got a really nice start and end date. Potentially that's just for, you could do that as a one-to-one, or you could do it as a group. We got here, this is a group suggestion, 6 to 10 people, 4-week breath work for anxiety group. Charge £200 a person, 10 people, that's just under, that's £2,000. If you wanted to go out to corporates, how about a monthly well-being package? You can do weekly team sessions, and they can get other resources, maybe give them other guides, audios, like you drop videos into their inboxes, maybe they get a weekly email from you or something. That can be done as a retainer. Corporates definitely have the budget and the desire for this kind of thing. And then you can also, what's great is so many breath workers also have other skills or practices as well, such as yoga, Reiki, EFT, whatever it might be, that you can kind of combine to make it very uniquely yours. So of course, if you've got that, you can also add whatever, create a price. That's creating a package, but you can also charge a little bit more for it. So breathwork and coaching, breathwork and sound healing, breathwork and yoga. Your unique combination is your signature offer. Name it and own it. And that is something to be said for whenever you're kind of creating, say, programs. It's really, really good idea to try and create some frameworks and some kind of little signatures that are just yours. Those kind of frameworks that are purely yours. It's your IP. You own it. It really kind of sets you apart as a credible expert. So retreats and group programs and workshops, they're definitely going to be your kind of highest ticket offer. And groups are an obvious one, because if you were going to teach a group for an hour, a group of say 5 people, you're obviously, charging them each singly, you're obviously going to make 5 times as much as if you were doing it for one person. So that's an obvious one. But in terms of retreats are really, really, really popular in lots of industries, including the wellness industry. And that is definitely where you can just create some wonderful experience for people. In-person events are so great for creating that connection and those relationships. They're also great for that kind of just that having that higher ticket offer within your kind of product or offer suite. But you don't have to be, in Ibiza in a wonderful kind of, great big villa somewhere. You can do just start local. It is about the experience. It's not about, a fancy venue. It's definitely about the experience. And also just like half-day little workshops, half-day little mini retreats are absolutely, they work really, really well, because people, they want to experience these things, but going away for 5 days to a retreat in Ibiza has definitely got a lot more kind of objections to it or reasons not to do it than half day locally somewhere where you can just take a half day of a Saturday, invite people to really experience what you do. So all of those are really great things. And just, when you are doing like in-person things, what works really quite well is getting somebody to bring a friend. So you can do pricing where you say it's £200 a person, but for when you buy one, you get to bring a friend for free or something like that. So you don't have to always just do singular pricing. Like encourage somebody to bring somebody, make that group bigger by saying you buy a ticket and you bring somebody for free. That works. That tends to work really, really well in offers. Okay, so hopefully what you have got from this video is we're not about selling, our service, our time service for a certain price. It's not about I can give you a 2-hour breathwork session for £150. It's about leading with that outcome. It's about leading with the outcome and that transformation, understanding the difference and leading with that transformation rather than just what you do.